Greetings of the day to everyone who's joining with us today. We are very excited to have you here, and we are about to start the workshop on technical abstract writing. Uh, this workshop is presented to you by the International Conference on Innovation and Emerging Technologies 2024, and we are representing the University of Sri Jayewardenepura Faculty of Technology. Uh, Looking forward to have you here for this workshop. We have an exciting lineup ready for this evening. And before that, I would like to give you a brief introduction about who we are and what are our objectives of this workshop. As I already mentioned, we are from Faculty of Technology, University of Sri Jayewardenepura from Sri Lanka, and we think there are some audience members who are coming from other countries as well. We are one of the prominent universities of the country, as well as we are the flagship technology faculty of the country, who are producing very valuable graduates, technologists for the development of the country as well as the globe across different disciplines. The International Conference on Innovation and Emerging Technologies is actually one of the signature events organized by our faculty, which was initiated 3 years ago. And this time we are having the 4th installment of the conference, shortly and nicknamed as ICIET 2024. In this conference, our theme is to future-ready solutions through advanced technologies. We believe it's a timely theme for the country as well as the globe, where we try to transfer theoretical knowledge to practical applications while looking at various aspects like technological advancement as well as sustainability. The main conference will happen in 24 November, 21st and 22nd November, and there will be a lot of exciting events happening on those 2 days parallel to the conference. We are now in the process of accepting abstract right now. So we have around 15 tracks covering a wide array of disciplines, starting from agricultural technologies for sustainability, artificial intelligence and data science, automotive engineering, biotechnology, bioengineering, and industrial bioprocessing, building construction and infrastructure technology. And then it goes like communication and networking technology, electrical, electronics and embedded systems, energy, environment and sustainability, food security, nutrition and processing technology, georesources, geoenvironment and geotechnics. And then we have information systems, applications and IS strategies, interactive media technology, materials engineering technology, mechatronics, robotics, and automation. And finally, we have technology, education, and management. So as you can see, we are covering a wide range of disciplines, and then usually we have a good reception from the research community in the country as well as from other countries as well. We are receiving more than 200 abstract every year, so we are expecting this year to be no difference. This is regarding the conference progress. We are right now in the end of August, and we are approaching one of the deadlines, which is the deadline for abstracts of submission, which is set to happen on 30th August. And I'm hoping to see an exciting message coming from our co-chairs at the end of this session. So I would like to invite you to wait until the end of the session to receive that special message. We have the conference on 21st and 22nd November, as I already mentioned. And also we have a very valuable and informative pre-conference workshops happening on 20th November. That will again happen on, the pre-conference workshop will happen online, and you can basically join them from anywhere in the world. And the conference will be happening physically at the Faculty of Technology, University of Sri Jayewardenepura premises. So which brings us to this abstract writing workshop. I am actually representing the publication committee of the conference. So having worked in the publication committee for a couple of years, we have identified that most of the abstract that we are getting from are basically written by undergraduates and some postgraduate students who are basically in the earlier stages of their research career. And we see very good abstract as well as some common mistakes done by these budding authors. So we thought about how we can help them in organizing their abstracts and presenting their research in a scale like this. So we discussed what we could do, and then we realized that we can always help them with some helpful tips about abstract writing techniques. So people do research always. They have many things to say. They have many results, many procedures, many methodologies. They find very exciting things. But when it comes to abstracts, you basically have to summarize the information that you have. So writing a very effective abstract is actually an art. So we wanted to see how we can deliver these pro tips about this abstract writing art to budding researchers, budding authors, in an effective way. And we found the best people to do that. We are having the privilege of we are privileged to have our resource persons who are basically two valuable researchers of the country as well as the faculty. They are known to the research field of Sri Lanka in various levels, and their achievement has been so remarkable. Would like to welcome Professor Dhanushka Udayanga as well as Dr. Asanka Sanjeewa, who are our resource persons this evening. They have been selected as selected for the world's top 2 scientists as well. So they have been very active in these research areas and have we have been very dedicated researchers, as well as they have published many recognized publications in both local and international level. So we believe they are the best people to conduct this kind of an informative event, which was our main objective when organizing this. So without further delay, we can go to listen to our first resource person of the day, which is Dr. Asanka Sanjeewa. I would like to give a brief introduction about Dr. Asanka Sanjeewa to get us start, and then we can listen to him. Dr. Asanka Sanjeewa received his BSc Honours degree in Agriculture from the Rajarata University of Sri Lanka, and he obtained an MSc and a doctoral degree in Marine Life Sciences from Jeju National University in South Korea. After completing his PhD, he also served as a postdoctoral researcher at the same university. Thus far, Dr. Sanjeewa has received numerous awards and recognitions, both locally and internationally, for his excellence in research in the field of marine biotechnology. Notably, in 2019, Dr. Sanjeewa was honored by the Best Researcher Award by the Korean Society of Phycology for his scientific involvement in marine life sciences. He was also the recipient of the Committee of Vice Chancellors and Directors, abbreviated CVCD, Excellence Awards in 2022 as the most outstanding young researcher in the field of life sciences. Dr. Asanka has an H-index of 31 with around 3,000 citations, and he is currently serving as a senior lecturer attached to the Department of Biosystems Technology at the Faculty of Technology, University of Sri Jayewardenepura. So I cordially invite Dr. Asanka Sanjeewa to deliver his talk about technical abstract writing.
Okay, Dr. Prasanth, thank you very much for your nice introduction. And so that's a technical issue. Okay. And I would also like to thank you for the organizing committee to inviting me for this and giving this opportunity to me to address this young researchers and the scientists. Can I share my screen now?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Pasu. Okay, I think you can now see my screen. So as we discussed today, we are mainly going to discuss about writing a conference abstract. So I'm going to discuss the things that in general, what you want to do and what you don't want to do when you are writing a conference abstract. So the today title is how to write an effective conference abstract. Okay. So this is the today outline. So we are going to discuss introduction about the conference abstract, structuring, writing style and guidelines, and typo making an effective abstract, submission and review process, and common mistakes to avoid. So these are the things that I'm going to discuss in the next 30 minutes with you. So let's move with the introduction. So what is the conference abstract? When we talk about the conference abstract, it is simply, we can say, a concise summary of a research or project, typically limited to specific word count. For example, if you go through the ICIET 2024 website, so you can see your abstract should want to limit it to 300 words. So you want to, in this mean, you want to provide all your study within 300 words. So you want to convert everything that you've done within last 2-3 years into 300 words. So this is quite difficult task. So, but in the case, I'll get an example. So one of my student, postgraduate student, these days working on the wild food crops. So she got like 14 samples, and now the question is how to write or how to add all those samples or the data into the conference paper. So this conference. So in simply, when we are writing a conference abstract, we don't want to include all the data that we done. So here, what we want to do is we just want to highlight what we want to show to our audience. So that's the thing what we want to do. So you don't want to think about all the samples, but you can highlight 1 or 2 samples that really have good activity. Or they might you also can present some samples that may not have activities. Both are good way to show your results. So that I'm going to explain that later. So that's the thing that you want to first you want to understand. This is a concise summary. So in the summary, just 300 words. So within 300 words, you want to introduce what is this, how to going, how you did, what you got, and how you going to execute, what are the advantages for the future studies or the future researchers. So this is about the conference abstract. So when we go through the conference abstract, so here like we don't want to add all these data, not like it is actually not like a research article. So just what you want to do is you just want to summarize the things that you got. Okay. So then the next question is, most of the time people are asking, can I add my negative data into conference abstract? Of course, you can add your negative data. So there are no chance to getting rejected your abstract because of negative data. So there are a lot of opportunities when you present your results or the abstract data or the data in a conference, specifically when you're showing negative data. For example, so when you are presenting a negative data, even sometimes some authors are not happy to share the data because they might have plans to apply for patents, or maybe have planned to submit higher journal, impact factor journal. So in that cases, still you can submit your negative data, because when you are submitting and when you are presenting your negative data, it support to the scientific community as well. Because now assume that if my sample, so I will get the same example. So some of my, so the samples don't have any activity actually when we are going through after 7-8 months. So there are no activities of those food samples. So when I present those data in the conference, so there are some peers who are doing work in the same field, so they can come and see my data. and they can discuss, and we can discuss what happened and how this is happened. And from that, the people can stop doing research or doing the same mistake when they are forwarding. So that's another thing. So you can add both positive and negative data. So these are the things about the writing conference abstract. So I'm moving forward. So when you are structuring your conference abstract, so when we are structuring the conference abstract, we can see several components in the conference abstract. Title and the keywords. So this is the most important thing in your abstract, one of the most important part. For example, so when I go to a conference, first thing is I'm looking at the conference proceeding. So we can get either digital form or the printed form, hard copies. So what I'm doing is first I'm going through all the titles and the keywords, because I want to find out which one is the more suitable and which one is the more interesting for me. So same applies when you are submitting a conference abstract. So track chairs have specific interest. So when you are not address that specific interest using a keywords or the title, the first thing is the chances of getting rejected high, and even if you get accepted, so the chances to have some tears in your session may be low. So this is happening because when I'm go to a conference, always I'm doing as I mentioned. So I'm checking who are the doing marine bioresources related studies, who are working with immunology, who are going to do work with the cell signaling mechanism. I'm looking those and I'm attending. So same applies for others. So when I go to those sessions, I can find out what are my mistakes, how other people are doing. So this all the things comes with the title. So therefore you must want to write down very informative title, and you want to carefully select the keywords. So this is very important factor. And then introduction and the background information. So most of the time when we are writing, the people doing a common mistake, so they are not thinking that they are going to present this into the community, that mixed community, not the lab members in your lab or not the peers. Sometimes industry people also come into these conferences. So when they are coming to the conference, the thing is when you are writing the introduction, it's not match the importance, or it not highlight how it comes to the industry, how it apply for the people. So they cannot understand when there are too many technical words and there are no introduction that can address. So when you are writing introduction, very first thing is it is better to assume that you are writing to someone high school children. So then they know nothing about the field. So it's same as the industry people when they come into this kind of conference. So they have the lack of knowledge. They are coming to see the results and the samples, the things that we are people who are doing. So in that case, you can catch those people into your session when you are writing very clear introduction for those people. So, so we did this as a group, and we have now from the conference, we got some industry people as well. So now in our research team, we always have few 5-6 industry people, because we just know them because of this conference. So they just come to our sessions and they start to listen and they ask questions. So all because of this just 2-3 simple sentences. So introduction is that much important, even we are not thinking about that. And the next part is the methodology. So when we are writing the methodology, the most people are stuck here, because now, for example, if you are going for the real-time PCR, so mechanism, when you are going to write, it simply take more than 200 words, because you want to state specific temperature, number of cycles, and how you going to execute. So those things. So it is not that much simple to write it. But in the abstract, you don't want to mention all the things. So you just can say, we executed this study using real-time PCR or ELISA assays. Likewise, simply, because the people are not interested what is the method you use, but they are interested about the results you got. So when they are got the catch, or they observe your results, then start to ask question about the methodology. Otherwise, no one going to start to ask question from the methodology. So if it is too much technical session, that's only. So then for the conference abstract, you don't want to write everything you did during your study. So you just can simply write down the study, this study that we use Western blot, PCR, ELISA, cell culture or mouse model. So likewise, so you can simply write down the methodology part. And then the most important part after the methodology, results and conclusion. So people who come to your session are interested about these results and the conclusion, because now the industry people are there, peers are there, and some grant awardees. So people are there. So in this case, if you are present your results very briefly and nicely, then you can catch the people who are not interested, still not interested with your abstract. So these are the things. So if you write down all the results and if you are do the statistical analysis and if you present them in clear manner, so you can get accepted your abstract as well as many people in your session. So this is the thing I practice. So I attend to more than 50, 60 conferences. So in all the time, so with the discussion with the peoples and the experience, so this is the what I got to know. So this is the thing that you actually want to practice when you are writing your abstract. Okay. And the next thing is writing style and the guidelines. So as I mentioned earlier, so when you are writing your abstract, so clarity and conciseness is a very important fact. So you can see 3 arrows here. So one is a straightforward, other one is come to the point, but after going here and there, and other point, the third one is cycling around. So when you are writing your abstract, make sure to write a straightforward one. So something like here. So don't go through the facts or don't circle through the facts. So just you can say if you got a kind of cell signaling mechanism or if you inhibit particular protein, don't write all the things. So just write it very clearly. So the extract this particular extract, just block the NF-kappa B or MAPK signaling mechanism. Because of that, this one showing anti-inflammatory, anti-cancer properties. So then people can simply understand. And the next thing is, the next common mistake is the most of the time people are using many jargons. Okay, so when you are writing jargons in your abstract, the thing is, this is the very known common example. Maybe you might see that in a different presentations as well. So this is the one that conversation between two IT people. So the one saying the RAM in the cloud is too weak, and the second one says, okay, I'll see it. So this means, so random access memory is not working in the cloud. It's too weak and it's not able to get the work done. So there are some weakness. So if the village person or the person who are not in the field come to here to ask you a conversation, so he may think a sick ram in the clouds. So male sheep. So he thinks what's going on. So when you write too many jargons, this is the thing what happened in the conference or in the track. So people cannot understand when you are using too much jargons. For example, so my field is anti-inflammatory mechanisms and the cell signaling mechanism from the marine bioresources. So if I talk everything from the IL-1 beta, IL-6, TNF-alpha, TLR4, oh that proteins, MF-kappa B, NF-kappa B, MAPK, so nobody can understand. So this is applies for the people who are coming to the session and who are going to evaluate your study. So therefore, be careful when you are writing your abstract. So use jargons if it is really necessary to use. Otherwise, don't use complex English and these jargons. Because these days, people don't much care about the language because we have many tools to convert our language. Even now, Chinese or Korean or Japanese languages, we can simply convert into any language that we want. So real time. So therefore, don't think much about the language. But think about the audience, whether they can understand that these terms, because these terms cannot be converted. So in that case, you want to use very simple language. So you can say, instead of writing many jargons for the anti-inflammatory, so you can just say, if your sample inhibiting interleukin 6, so it's showing anti-inflammatory activities by inhibiting pro-inflammatory cytokines. That's enough. So then the people can understand what the context. So if they more interest, they will come to you and they will ask questions. So therefore, I'm highly recommending you to avoid jargons. And the next thing is follow the concurrence guideline. This is the thing that most people miss. So if the concurrence, the organizing committee asks you to write 300-word abstract, so you must want to limit it to 300 words. And sometimes we are asking from people, when we are doing the concurrence, highlight the presenting author or bold the presenting author, show the corresponding author's email, or show the corresponding author's contact details. So people are not following. So I'll give you an example from the last year ICIET 2023 conference. So the one track that I worked got more than 40 abstracts. So our target was to get 25 abstracts, but when we get too many abstracts, so we cannot handle. So in that case, we can reject few of them. So first thing is when it's come to the conference. So the first thing is the people who are not following the guidelines and the two preliminary data will eliminate it from the desk reject option. So we rejected few from that option. So when you are writing, make sure even you got very good set of data, your abstract might be get rejected. So that might be the reason. So people are sometimes complaining, my abstract get rejected, I submit this much of data and get blah blah blah. So this might be the reason to getting reject your concurrence papers, simply not following the guidelines. And the next thing is, most importantly, once you complete the writing, do the proofreading. So even so before this presentation, after finishing, I'll send it to few people outside from my discipline. Why? Because once they are reading, so I'm done the proofreading and I'm sending it to my friends and people who are work outside from my discipline, and then they are start to read it and come to give me the comments. So then I know this is will be my issue. So the people will not be able to understand. This is my mistake. So from that, I'm taking their feedbacks and I'm correcting. So this is my final presentation that get prepared after the comments received from my friends. So some are from the department, biosystem technology department, and some are my school friends even. So I'm sending them and asking, can you please comment on this? So then even they are not from my discipline, they can read and understand the context, and then they are sending the comments. So proofreading and send it to the peers are very important thing. And the next thing is, most importantly, capture the reader's attention. So when you are writing an abstract, even it's get accepted, as I mentioned earlier, there's a risk that there may not people in your session. So when the people, only 2-3 people in the session, so that's not nice actually. So in my case, what I'm doing is, my discipline is marine bioresources, but when I write in my abstract, most of the time I'm using, instead of marine bioresources, I'm writing blue bioresources. Why? So it's a kind of catchy word. So the meaning is the same, marine bioresources, the novel trend, or the biotechnological term, blue bioresources. For agriculture people, instead of writing agricultural biotechnology, you can try green biotechnology. People who are working food technology, so they can write yellow biotechnology. We use yellow biotechnology. So then it's capturing the reader's attention. Even I completed writing 2-3 books. All the books, if you see in the internet, you can see the titles comes with itself, blue biotechnology or blue bioresources. Likewise, the catching titles. So if you can write those catching titles, you can add them into your abstract. So then people start to come to listen to your abstract. So when the more people come, then you can get more comments, or you can make more network. So you can increase your network. So then you can get many peers. So when you have sample to analyze, you can simply send that person you met in the conference. So we are doing that. And the next thing is incorporating visuals or the data if applicable. So some conferences are not supporting to add visual data, but if it is applicable, so try to add some graphical abstracts or the figures, bar charts, or any kind of chart that you can add. So then people, so without writing the 1,000 words, we can replace 1,000 words using one single figure. So if you are can able to, if you manage to draw very nice graphical abstract or clear bar chart, so simply you can get the attention from your peers. So that is another important fact. And the next thing is highlight the significance of your study. So most of the time, people are missed to highlight the significance of the study. So if you got the sample and it has some kind of bioactive property at the end or in the last sentences, make sure to put that. Otherwise, people are not want to read your abstract, because most of the time, in my case, I'm getting example as myself. I just try to read title and then jump into the keyword and first 2-3 sentences and the final sentences. So this means in the introduction part, I am reading first 2-3 sentences, and at the bottom, it's a conclusion and results. I am reading that 2-3 sentences. If it's in my interest, if it is surprising results, so then I'm only going to the conference, that session, particular session. So this is happened. This is applies for all the people, all the experts in the field. So if you are a new beginner, it is better to write down the highlight, the significance of the study and the future direction. So what we can do with these studies or the results. So that is important. So these are the things when you are writing abstract. And the next thing is submission and the peer review process. Once you are complete, you are writing your abstract, and so you are getting done with everything, you are sending it to your friends and the peers, and you got the comments from them, and you address all, and now you are ready to submit. So very first thing is, as I mentioned 2-3 times, so understand the abstract submission guidelines. So there are some guidelines. So the website, it's not that much complex like submitting a journal article, research or review article, but there are some guidelines. Follow all the guidelines. If you miss one, the chances to be getting rejected or miscommunication is high. So in that case, you might not be able to go through the abstract processing steps. So therefore, make sure to understand the abstract submission guidelines. So here I got the one from ICIET 2024 snapshot, and then peer review process and feedback. So first, after you submitting, so this is from a journal submission process, like journal article submission, but it's similar for the conference abstract submission. So once you submitted, so one person will check the quality. So it applies for the conference also. Someone will check the quality, and then the editor or the track chair will evaluate for the initial evaluation, and then he will decide whether it's sent to the reviewers or not. So if your abstract strong enough to convince the track chair or the person who are in charge in the particular conference, then he will send it to the reviewers. So once the reviewer commented, so not like a journal article, so you will get probably 2-3 comments. So then they will send back to you to address those comments. Once you receive the comments, so you can address those, and then again you can submit it. So then you will get the final response. So here the same thing. So revision and resubmission process. So when the revision and resubmission process, so important, it is very much important to track or highlight the revisions you made. Otherwise, people cannot find out what are the revisions you made. Or you can write a cover letter and you can attach it to the abstract. So this won't take long time, but it will save the time of the other people, because when we make a change, we know we made that change, but other people can't check. So they want to cross check. So nobody these days, everybody busy with their schedules. So when it's come to the conference, it's a tight schedule. So sometimes 300, 400 abstracts to deal with. So when you make those revisions, it is better to highlight those and submit as a separate file. So once revision submitted, you will receive acceptances notice. So once you get acceptance, so mostly 2-3 weeks before conference, editors are the track chair sending this email, because sometimes so foreign participant want to get visa, so they want to apply for visa, so that process also take 2-3 weeks. So therefore they are sending this message. So once you got the acceptance letter from the journal, sorry, from the conference, make sure to start your presentation, post a presentation or the oral presentation, start it within the day that you got the acceptance letter. So don't wait until last minute. So when you are going to present it at the last minute, the thing is, so it's not practiced. So when you go to talk in front of 100 people, 200 people, so you will get distracted. So first 2-3 oral presentations and poster presentations are quite difficult or quite stressful event for a new beginner. So budding authors and the researchers. So it's a quite like distress. So therefore, in my case, even it is applies for me. So I'm very afraid, and once after go 2-3 presentations, oral and poster presentation, it's okay. But if you are not prepared, if you are wait until last minute, the situation getting more and more worse. So therefore, I highly recommend you to start your poster presentation or oral presentation at least 2-3 weeks before and practice it at least 3-4 times and check the time, because for the presentations you will get limited time, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, like. So prepare it and practice. Then at the end of the day, at the end of the presentation, you can convince the people in the panel, and then maybe you can end up with a best oral presenter or best poster presentation presenter like awards. So that's how we can get poster awards or the presentation awards. So within last minute, you can't impress the people. So even your data set is too strong or too weak, that doesn't matter. If you are not practiced, you ended up with something in between. So these are the submission and review process related things. And I'm going to explain few common mistakes. So my first one is lack of clarity and the focus. So when we are submitting an abstract, sometimes people are not taking this seriously. So when you are not serious about your writing and the clarity, as I mentioned earlier, so you will get rejected. And next thing is ignoring the formatting requirement, as I mentioned. So you want to make a checklist and you want to tick them. So even at the moment, so even last week when we are submitting abstract to a conference, international conference, we check all the things, even the, so we have experience, but there's a chance to make mistake. So therefore, we are checking all the time, and we are checking whether we are making mistakes or not by simply making a checklist. So this is another mistake that we are doing always, and the missing the key information. So when you are writing, make sure read several times whether you included purpose, introduction, method, results, and the conclusion part. If you miss those information, you are sure probably in trouble. So therefore, avoid those mistakes. And the final one, don't overload with the too much technical details. People don't want to see too much technical details, like shown in here. So if it is simple, people will go through. If it is more difficult to understand, even it is very good study, people are not coming to your session, or you may get rejected. So these are the things that I want to discuss within today's session. And thank you very much for the given opportunity. Dr. Pasan.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Asanka, for that very informative presentation. With the information given, I hope the participants have a very good understanding about the contents of an abstract, and also about the abstract reviewing process as well, and how you basically have to face that process as well. Okay, and I thank you again for your time. So we have a Q&A session at the end of the second speech by our second resource person. So we can basically focus on any question that to be asked from Dr. Asanka as well as Professor Dhanushka at the end of this session. So with that, we can basically move to our second presenter, Professor Dhanushka Udayanga. I'll basically give an introduction to him as well. So Professor Dhanushka Udayanga holds a Bachelor of Science Honours degree in Molecular Biology from the University of Peradeniya. He received his PhD from the Center of Excellence in Fungal Research from Mae Fah Luang University in Thailand in the field of plant biotechnology. He was also a visiting postdoctoral fellow in the United States Department of Agriculture Research Services, which is situated in Maryland, USA. Professor Udayanga is an expert researcher in the field of mycology, plant pathology, and biotechnology, and he has published over 50 papers with local and international authors. He's an esteemed scholar and has been awarded in local and international level in many occasions. Notably, he's the recipient of the 2018 Martin Baker Research Award by the Mycological Society of America. He stands with a notable H index of 25 with over 4,700 citations, and he is currently serving as a professor at the Department of Applied Sciences, Faculty of Humanities and Sciences, Sri Lanka, Institute of Information Technology. So with that, I would like to kindly invite Professor Dhanushka Udayanga to deliver his talk to our audience.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pasan. Am I audible enough?
Yes, we can hear you properly. Yes.
Okay. So let me share my slides, please. Okay. Now I think listening to Dr. Sanjeewa's very nice introduction to abstract writing, you have a really good idea on how to write an abstract, right? So especially you may have heard a lot of talks regarding scientific writing or particularly on abstract writing, but how many of you have actually tried to write an abstract according to the given guidelines or given suggestions? This is my point. That's why I named my talk as Why Wait? Let's do it now. And we will try to get you to a better conference abstract. Right? So most of the time there may be no much challenge to get a conference abstract accepted. But to present a better conference abstract, there are few tips that you should follow. Right? So today, I highly recommend if you really have abstract with you, which is based on your ongoing work or whatever your finished work, or if you are willing to submit it to ICIET 2024 or any other conference, take it out right now and keep it with you and try to diagnose your abstract by yourself based on the recommendation we give. So I'm pretty sure you can go for like very good improvement in your abstract if you follow my recommendation, right? So rather than waiting until the talk ends, right? You can take it right now and let's try. Okay, if you are very new to abstract submissions in a conference, if you are a final year undergraduate researcher or maybe first year, second year postgraduate researcher, this is something I should stress to you before we go into writing tips. Before start writing your conference abstract, that's a point you should ask yourself, if the research work advanced enough to be reported. This is very important. Your work may not be at the cutting edge result, but if you have started your research like few months ago, still, if you want to report something, there should be some sort of valid information. I'm not saying that you need like final results with all analyzed data. You can always present ongoing results. As Dr. Sanjeewa clearly said, you can bring your negative or positive data to the audience and get them to discuss. But somehow you should have a sense of your research and bring something valuable to the audience. It can be a little thing, but still there should be something in it to be presented. And especially when you submit the abstract, consult your supervisors. This is something we have experienced over last 3-4 years. There are students who actually submit the abstracts without consulting the supervisors. Right? This is not the best option, because your supervisors are the best people to decide whether you are going to submit the abstract or not. Okay. And also, before start your conference abstract, right, you have to think about this. You should have analyzed substantial amount of your data, regardless of they are positive or negative. Right? If you have just the raw data, you have never tried to analyze them based on whatever the discipline you have, then there's something you should think about, because when you go and present in the conference, once it is somehow accepted, right, you will ended up with some sort of issues when you are answering to the reviewers and the audience, right? So if you have certain amount of data, although it's very little amount of data, make sure they have analyzed, right? So if the research is ongoing work, you don't need a conclusion, but at least you should be able to present a valid inference in order to craft a better abstract. This is, again, I highly recommend based on what I have seen in last 3-4 years in our conferences, right? And Dr. Sanjeewa clearly mentioned what is an abstract. So I'll add something to that, right? So always an abstract should be very definitive rather than descriptive. So what does it mean by definitive, right? Once you are reading once we are reading your abstract, right, we should get this clear idea about your abstract rather than it just give some more information about something, right? That's why I have mentioned in here, it should give very hard facts, very clear facts, rather than say your research is about something and something. It's not, if it is not very straightforward, again, you will end up with the problem, right? But it's totally fine to receive reviewer comments for an abstract. We should welcome them. Right? But if you have ever received too many negative comments from a reviewer, then there should be something to be fixed. And next time when you submit an abstract, if you follow our guidelines, right, we can make sure that you will not end up with so many negative comments, right? Okay, we'll see. A good abstract usually very short, so it depends on the conference. The number of words can be different, either 200, 250, or 300. So I think in ICIET 2024, it's around 300, I assume, right? And also it should be a one paragraph, right? So you might be thinking like whether this should be something to be mentioned. So I have reviewed like hundreds of abstracts. Although the template has given one paragraph, right? So the authors have splitted that into several paragraphs. So we have to do that formatting. So it's a rigorous job when it comes to like 200, 300 abstract for a publication committee, right? That's one of our objective of giving this session today for prospective authors who are going to submit to our conference too, right? And also the abstract should be stands its own, right? So whatever we read in the abstract should be understood without lot more supportive data, because you are not going to write like very lengthy paper, but still, once we are reading the abstract, it should be very well understood. And also, it should be complete in itself, right? It may be published on a conference proceeding individually, and maybe it will never publish somewhere else later on. But still, it can be counted as a valid publication of some data, right? So this is something, again, we have to think about. Okay, now I'll move on to this important point. So in the previous session, Dr. Sanjeewa also mentioned what actually an abstract should contain. So I'm going to tell the same thing in a kind different way, and I will let you to think about it every time when you are writing an abstract. Now, this is a very famous and a popular guideline we can see in internet. Many of the conferences follow this format. So according to this format, we should include these important points in an abstract. If we go through one by one, there should be the context or the background. So we can call it as an introduction. So somehow that background should be sufficient to understand the research question you describe, right? So I'm pretty sure in the previous session, Dr. Sanjeewa mentioned, usually this part should be very catchy because the readers will attract based on whatever you have written on your context or the background. Then specifically, when it comes to the second level of an abstract, the purpose of your work should be very clearly mentioned. Now, this can be either purpose or your aim or objective, right? Sometimes it can be the hypothesis and its extent. Somehow, it should be clearly mentioned before you move on to your methodology. Now, again, methods. In case of methodology, you cannot tell everything you have done in your research, right? But somehow we can highlight the key points in your methodology during the writing of this method section of an abstract, right? Then again, very important to write the key findings or results. And also finally, it's very important to emphasize the significance. Now, if I ask which part of an abstract should be highlighted or should take more in terms of the word count, right? So I would say the methods and results should be the highlight of the abstract, right? So depending on the amount that you want to emphasize in methods and results, you can slightly reduce the word count in case of background, purpose, and the significance. Right? Now, although I tell it like this, right, until we move on to some examples, it may be not very clear to you, right? And also I have to highlight this. So the changes for this particular outline can be slightly different depending on the discipline. That is very much acceptable, right? So as I told you earlier, when I'm starting the session, if you have abstract with you, right, I highly recommend you to open it up and go through it and quickly check whether you have all these points in your abstract or not, right? You should have a background statement, at least one statement, right? Then the purpose or the objectives, then methods, findings, and of course, the significance. So since the time is passing, I'm not letting you more time. We will try to diagnose the few hypothetical abstracts. So any of these abstracts I'm showing in here are not real studies. All of them are just hypothetical things that I tried to build up and just want to show it to you as some examples, right? If you look at this abstract carefully, so I have highlighted the points that I mentioned in the previous slide, right? For example, if you look at the yellow color highlighted first sentence, that is the context or the background in this particular study. Right? So the title of this study is Effectiveness of Water Glazing in Extending the Shelf Life of Chicken Eggs. So I totally don't know whether this research is very valid or not. This is something just came into my mind, right? So if you look at the abstract, you can see the context says the shelf life of chicken eggs is crucial for food safety, especially in agricultural regions where eggs are a main food product, right? That is something we encourage, and we get into reading this particular abstract because it says something very important, right? Then when it comes to the second line, which I have highlighted in blue color, you can see the purpose. It starts with this study evaluates, right? Then it comes to the third and fourth lines actually. So within these 3 lines, in this particular case, the authors have written methods very clearly. Although there are no details, just within 3 lines, they have summarized what they have done. Okay. Then when it comes to the 4th level, you can see the findings and results marked in purple color, right? Again, I highly recommend you to read through it very quickly, right? So it starts like results showed that the water glazed eggs. So there's no many supporting information or lengthy sentences. Instead, right away, they start like results showed, right? So very concise manner to report your results. And more importantly, we can see whatever the statistical significance also highlighted in the result section, so that whoever the reader or reviewer can get a very good idea about the confidence of our results, right? So we are not going to go like one by one into the details, but just look at it as a picture, right? Then if you have this image registered in your head, once you start writing an abstract, right, you will also get these points and try to make your abstract much better. And in the last line, clearly it has explained the significance. So these findings indicate that the water glazing method significantly extend the shelf life of eggs and so on, right? But I tried to analyze the amount of the word count in this particular abstract as an example. So I noted that mostly in the abstract that we consider as better or good abstracts, right? Around 50 to 70% range of word count can be allocated for the methods and findings, right? So if you have this in mind, next time you will not miss the things that you should mention. Now, when it comes to the real world, since we have corrected like hundreds of abstracts during last 5-10 years, right? We have experienced that although there are number of tips and the guidelines in the conferences, right? Still people submit the abstract with incomplete information. Now, if you have this in mind, right, it's very easy for us to get your abstract crafted better, right? Again, keep in mind, there's no hard rule to make like 50 to 70% range of word count of methods and findings, but it looks better if you can allocate more space for methods and findings, but still you have to provide the context, purpose, and the significance within the abstract in a clear order. Okay. Okay. I want to do this as an activity, but I don't think it is the best time to do the activity, but we will try. So I have given few abstracts in coming slides. So try to visualize the context, purpose, methods, findings, and significance, right? So while you are analyzing them, you can get an idea about how you can manage the word count, right? So most of the time, even the students working with me, they come forward and tell me, okay, so I have to write an abstract, but I don't know how to manage the word count, right? People are writing abstract like sometimes 1,000 words, maybe 800 words, sometimes 550 words, but still not sure how to reduce it to 500, or maybe having 310 words, but still not sure how to reduce it to 300 words, right? So those are some sort of challenges we face, especially as the researchers working in Asian countries, so non-native English-speaking countries. Okay, so this is another example for you to visualize. So I'm not going to explain all the details of research. So this is again a hypothetical study. So myself or Dr. Pasan, we have never conducted this kind of research. We have used our names purposely. So it's a comparative analysis of curcumin content of wild cucumber, right? So in the yellow color segment indicate the background, then blue color indicate clearly the objective or the purpose. Then green color segment indicate the methodology, right? So you can see it has worded in a different way, but still same methodology, and all the techniques used in this study are highlighted. Then you have results in purple color, right? Again, in gray color at the last line, the significance is highlighted. So these are the very important things you have to keep in mind when you craft your abstract, right? Just do this highlighting, as I said. You don't have to use the same colors as I have used. You can use the different colors and try to do the analysis before you are sending this abstract to the conference, right? This is something that I follow for like several years with my students, right? In this way, in case of someone is not emphasizing the significance, we can catch it, right? So in case of someone is writing too much of context or the background information, then we can catch it, right? Most of the time I have seen from my experience, students just omit the objective or the purpose of the study, right? That is going to be very negative impression to the reviewer, because if the reviewer do not understand the purpose of work, there's a high chance that the abstract get rejected, right? Although you have done a really nice work, right? That can happen because we all are humans, right? So this writing not going to talk once it is received to your computer through CMT, right? Only thing is you can make it to talk by making it much better and better, right? Again, I should say this is a hypothetical study. Don't go to the context of research and the results, right? And the third example, I got again quite interesting idea came into my mind accidentally. So you can see the title says development of a precision optical tool for identifying mole patches on moist walls, right? So if you look at the first sentence, it clearly emphasizes why this study is important. And then when it comes to the second line, now in this case, you can see we have used 2 lines to emphasize the background, right? Which is quite fine, right? You can go maybe up to 3 lines, right? Sometimes 3 lines might be a little more, but still if you have very little amount of methods and results to be reported, right, then it's okay to write little more background information, right? Then the green color highlighted area indicate the methodology, right? Then so in purple color area, if you just read it, you can see the preliminary test demonstrate that the tool can accurately detect the fungal patches with an accuracy of rate of 92%. So definitely this is a very, very preliminary study. That's what we said earlier, right? Even if it is a very preliminary study, you can bring that to the conference and then you can improve it based on the expert comments, right? Then the final sentence again clearly says the significance of this particular study, right? So the reason that I'm showing 2-3 similar abstract, right, to get this image registered to your head, right, so that you will not miss these points when you are writing the abstracts next time. Okay. Again, I should say this is a hypothetical study, right? All the scientists who have joined don't take it serious. Yeah. So this is an abstract I found somewhere. Unfortunately, I couldn't remember. And then as reviewer, I tried to edit the abstract and just figured out that there are some missing points, right? For example, in this particular study, the method applied for this particular study is not there, right? Then again, there's no main conclusion or the point of significance there, right? So that makes an abstract quite disqualified for a conference, right? This is again a small abstract. Maybe I have copied and pasted it from somewhere and removed some of the component just to show you, right? So I have made the slide like a few months ago, so I don't really remember what happened with this. Anyway, in this particular abstract, what I want to highlight, so there's no significance, right? Although they have mentioned the background and the possible methodology results, right? There's no significance, so that it might be a negative point to be accepted in a conference, right? Okay. Now we talked about titles because when it comes to the content, if you follow these guidelines, you will end up with really good abstract. But still, again, while editing or reviewing a lot of abstracts, right, I had to edit the titles many times because the authors really do not understand what this title means, right? So for a research paper, it is the label, and for abstract also, title is the label of that particular product, right? So if you are buying a certain product from the market, what is the thing you are first looking at, right? Not just the appearance, but you worry about the label, right? So if you want to make the readers to read the abstract, then you have to make sure the label is attractive and also contains as few words as possible. We are not writing long titles for research papers or abstracts. And also it should describe the content accurately. This is very important, right? You cannot write something and put the label in a different manner, right? That is not going to work, right? So the content should be matched to the title, and the title should be matched to the content, right? So it should describe the subject as specifically as possible within the limits of the word number or the space. And also, I highly recommend you to avoid the abbreviations, but I know in some disciplines we cannot avoid the abbreviations, which is okay. And formulas, right? Probably mathematics, physics papers, I don't know. Sometimes there may be parts of the formulas has to be mentioned. It should be fine, but most of the time it's good to avoid them. And also, of course, as Dr. Sanjeewa mentioned, no jargon at all. Right? And again, when you come up with a creative title to get your readers to read the abstract, but still you should not promise more than is in your paper or the abstract, right? Don't give like bigger promises, right? Then make people to read the abstract, but if there's nothing in that abstract, again, you will get like a bad reputation. And also include as many keywords as possible. Then it's very easy for the conference organizers to manage your abstract or place your abstract in the correct track, right? So use correct keywords. And also make sure the most important words stand out, usually by putting them first, right? If you want to emphasize some words very clearly, right, then put them first in the abstract title, right, so that it get the attention, right? Okay, now you know there are plenty of good titles. If you just go to the Google Scholar, you can find like a lot of good titles in there. So I don't want to show many good titles, but thinking about bad titles, right, I can give some examples. Again, all these titles are hypothetical stuff. They are not published anywhere, right? So if you look at one or two, I'm not going to go through the all, a bunch of tests we did for wires and stuff, right? That doesn't mean anything, right? But you might be thinking like whether the people are writing this kind of things, right? In my experience, I have seen some rare cases people are using that kind of terms in titles which should not be done, right? And the second one, you can just read like why electricity is shockingly cool. So we are not going to use that kind of terms and verbs, especially in the title, right? And if you go to like the one, two, three, four, fifth one, right? It says just another paper, just another abstract on solar panels, right? Or the last one you can see wild mushrooms contain antioxidant properties than you ever imagine, right? So that kind of titles, right? We cannot say that they are either suitable ones or not, right? Sometimes people might be thinking we can put this kind of things as titles, and then the readers will be get attracted to the paper or abstract, right? But that is not always the case, right? So as reviewers, we ended up with issues of correcting them if you are not focusing on your title of the abstract, right? So these are some good or formal titles. So I'm not going to go through any of those, right? If you go to Google Scholar, there are plenty of titles you can find, right? Then one last thing I have to mention, this is about keywords. Now, putting keywords in an abstract will be very useful for us to classify it within the conference, right? So once it is get published, right, if it is going to be in an indexing database, or if it is going to get like a DOI number, right, then it's very important to have the correct keywords. Then only the people will discover your paper when they are searching in the databases, right? But again, this is something I have seen very frequently, right? Although we are good at writing abstract sometimes, this is my personal experience, right? Many young researchers and the students, right, they are really bad at picking at keywords, right? So it's not that we are bad at it, right? We don't know how to choose the keywords correctly, right? So if you just search in internet, there are plenty of tips, guidelines available to choose the keywords, right? That is something very simple you could do, right? So this is something I found from internet, right? If you want to find the productive keywords for your abstract, right, the best thing is you can focus on the techniques or the specific methodology you have used. Now, in case of previous examples, we saw that the researchers have used the technique HPLC. So it will become a keyword very easily, right? Because that is a specific methodology used in that particular study. Right? And also you have to focus on the main topic of your research. Right? And the third one, I would say it is sometimes true, sometimes it may be not, right? But it's better to avoid the keyword with just one word, right? Because you have the chance to put like 3 to 4 keywords, right? If you use two word type of keywords, right, then you will get more chance for your paper to be searched in an indexing database, right? That's why they are telling that it's good to have more than one word, right? Then you have to definitely avoid overlapping keywords if possible, right? Because the title is going to be indexed anyway. Title is going to be scanned by the conference panels anyway, right? So you can use some different words to the title and to get more explanation to your abstracts by keywords, right? And also follow the guidelines. If the conference website has any of the guidelines to select keywords, And also make sure to perform a keyword search before you submit the abstract, right? This may be something new to you, right? When you put the abstract keywords, right? Try to search those keywords, at least in Google Scholar, right? Then you should be ended up with some similar results in your search, right? Which is similar to your work. That is something interesting to make sure that your keywords are correct. Okay, so I hope you got these points, right? So I'm not going to explain more and more. So rather than explaining, right, I'm just trying to ask you, can you pick some keywords for this particular abstract, right? Now, definitely you have to read through the abstract very carefully, and your attention should be given to the main title and the objectives, as well as the methodology section, right? So that you will find if there are any specific techniques which has been used in this study, you can pick it up directly as a keyword, right? In case of result section, you may not see a lot in case of turning into some keywords, but definitely in the methodology section and the significance objectives, you can pick some more keywords, right? So rather than giving the time, so I'll give some examples for in this case, right? I can definitely say these keywords like animal products, food preservation, food safety, food quality, and water glazing would be very good keywords, right? According to my experience. So how I actually decided, so I picked based on the tips that I have given earlier, right? Then I try to search them in Google Scholar, right? So you have to work a little bit, right? That's very true. Science is not very easy as you think, right? When you are working more and more, your work will become much better and better, right? So in that way, I can suggest these few keywords, right? So these are the same hypothetical abstracts I used earlier. Right? The second one is comparative analysis of curcumin content in wild cucumber. So I ended up with these 4 keywords like antioxidants, anti-inflammatory, phenolics, and the wild relatives. And the third one, the development of a precision optical tool for identifying mole patches. So in that case, I picked few keywords like damp walls and respiratory health because it's something related to the major focus of this study. Then you can just pick fungal patches, and machine learning is one of the techniques included in the methodology, and image processing is again kind of technology used in this particular abstract, right? So I'm pretty sure these are not very much same to the discipline that you are working on, right? But I just want to highlight the things that you can learn through different research work, right? So from that, I'm going to conclude my session. Right? Before that, I have to tell this. So doing research is a difficult thing, right? There's nothing very easy to do in research. You have to be very resilient, right? You have to be very much tolerable and resilient, right? So as Thomas Alva Edison once said, so I have not failed, but I found 1,000 ways to not make a light bulb. So if you have bad experiences of writing abstract in past, right, just take them very positively, right? So I have the same experience. So I have written very bad abstracts in past, but my mentors, my supervisors, and my colleagues have helped me a lot to improve. So as an academic today, I am helping back to the students from the things that I have learned from my mentors. So that is how we can bring them to the next generation, right? So it is always challenging to get very good abstract, right? It's not very easy, right? But there are easy ways of doing it, although we are not going to mention, but still you have to be very fluent, and you have to be very much experienced in order to use various tools to improve your abstracts, right? So without the basic idea, I don't think you can move forward as an independent researcher, right? Okay, from that, I'm going to end the session. So Dr. Pasan, if there's any question coming up, we can answer. Dr. Sanjeewa also is here, right?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Dr. Dhanushka, thank you very much for that informative and very resourceful presentation that you did. And I would like to focus on the thing that you mentioned in the end, like you are being like really valuable researchers and really valuable assets to the country. And then you just mentioned that you came this journey with a lot of trials and errors, and then learning these tips and all these things with the help of your mentors and all that, and now you're giving back to the younger generation, which was the exact objective of organizing this session. Rather than just asking for abstract and then getting them and reviewing them, we realized that we basically have to groom our budding researchers and budding authors. And so that's basically what we are doing through this session. So with that, we can basically move on to a question and answering session. So we have very limited number of questions coming from the audience, but I saw there are a couple of people who raised hand during the session as well. So if you have any questions, this is the time to ask.
Sorry, I didn't see that anyway.
So a couple of questions we have received from the audience by now. There's one question about, could you please explain the difference between writing an abstract of a review and a research? So in some cases, we may have to do review papers, and then depending on the conferences, sometimes we can submit a review abstract as well. So any point that you can make regarding that question?
Dr. Sanjeewa, do you have an answer for that? I'm pretty sure.
I think Professor Dhanushka can add it.
Yeah. I mean, writing a review for a conference once again can be a challenge, right? Some of the conferences they accept the reviews, but some of the conferences they really don't like reviews, right? But still you can do it if you can perform a systematic review kind of thing, right? If you can get a lot more data available internet and analyze it statistically, and then if you get the results out of it, right, then that is what we call as a systematic review. In case of systematic review, you can definitely follow the same procedure we mentioned, because for a systematic review, there's a background, and there's an objective of doing that systematic review, and there's a methodology you should follow for a systematic review, and you will end up with a result, and you can give that analytical information as a concise summary at the end in that particular abstract. So if it is a systematic review, but if it is just a ordinary review article, then the style might be different from the same things that we discussed today, right? So it can be slightly different, but my point is, if you are writing an abstract for an ordinary review, it should be very logical and concise again, right? So that logical order can be determined by the discipline or by the author's preference, right? It doesn't matter, right? But in case of systematic review, definitely we can follow the same guidelines that we discussed, because obviously systematic review is some kind of a research again. Right?
Okay, good. I think we answered the question really well. So there's another question. Is it a must to add a sentence explaining future directions?
It is not a must, right? But if you are doing an ongoing research, definitely it's better to put a future direction at the end, because you have the say about this research. You are presenting it out before you complete that section. Then it's better to mention that what you are going to do next, rather than hiding it up, right? But it's not a must, definitely, right? I would say it's not a must, but if as far as if you can highlight the significance, right, that will be very important. Okay.
Yeah, that would be better if you can add.
Yeah.
Not a must, yes.
Yeah.
So there's another question. What are the tips to reduce the number of words without affecting the quality of the abstract? I think this is one of the major questions that people always ask.
Dr. Sanjeewa, you want to go first?
Dr. Dhanushka, Professor Dhanushka, you go first.
Yeah, I mean, reducing the number of words, something could be done with your experience. Now that's why I told you many students are coming and they are telling to me, they have told me many times, they have like 303, 304 words, but still not sure how to reduce that 4 words, right? So you can see the amount of challenge. But when we read it, in the first 2 lines, we can manage it, right? So this is something coming by experience. So you cannot say that you have to delete the methodology and you have to delete the results or you have to delete the background. No, we can't say it. But the way you can word the things can be really straightforward, right? If you are giving hard facts, you don't have to mention a lot of words to say the same thing, right? Read a lot of abstracts, right? Read a lot of abstracts in a paper. If you are a young researcher, at least read 50 papers per month. Maybe if you can do it within a week, right? That will be very good actually, right? For my experience, I could remember when I was a first year, second year PhD student, I read like at least 25 papers per day, in some days, right? So that's the only way you can learn, right? This is not something you can uh, ask someone to sit and then teach it in few hours. No, you can't do it in case of scientific writing. It's a habit, it's a skill you have to develop, right? So that's what I can say about the way of reducing the number of words in case of abstract. But definitely, if you follow the recommendations I gave you, right, you should be ended up with maybe less number of words rather than writing more numbers, right? Then it's very easy. I mean, if you ended up with like 270, 290 words, you don't have to put more words and make it 300, right? We do not expect like exact 300 words, right? Lesser is much better sometimes because it's easier for us to handle. Okay.
And the number of mistakes when you are reducing the numbers. Yes.
Yeah, definitely. It will reduce the number of mistakes you do.
Okay, thank you very much. So there's another question. So it's not relevant to a conference abstract, but again, a legit question. But how should be an abstract for a book chapter or a review article writing? Can we provide any comment on that? But I believe pretty much the content as well as the techniques would remain the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The things that we mentioned earlier might be applied to the same. But in case of, again, a book chapter, right, the abstract should be, again, very logical, right? So otherwise, people are not going to read the entire book chapter if the abstract doesn't contain like very, very important information, right? So take whatever the highlight in your book chapter into the abstract, right? Then build up that abstract logically around that, right? That is the way we should make your book chapter abstract a better one.
Yeah, in my case, what I am doing is first I draft the things, all the things, and write, complete the structure, and finally I'm jumping to the abstract. So then I can summarize the things very easily.
Yeah.
I'm not going to write the abstract first and the keywords.
I think you should
Is
never
the last
write
thing.
the abstract first in any case, in a research paper or in a thesis or
Yes.
any kind of big scientific document. Never start off with the abstract. Even title, you can keep it very tentative. You can put the title later, right?
Yes, those things should come after the everything finish.
Yeah. Always you can guess the name of the baby, but you have to register the baby's name once he's born, right? That's the only way we can get the best name for her and him. So in case of scientists, all these scientific articles are just like their babies, right? So you have to treat them like that.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I think we are at the end of our Q&A session. We don't have any further questions from
And
the
Dr.
audience.
Pasan, I have to say something. I'm
Yes.
really amazing about this number of participants. So I really appreciate the enthusiasm shown by the students, right? So this is a kind of investment, not just for this conference, right? If there are like at least 1 or 2 people who would like to pursue their career in science, right? So it's going to be a very good investment done by you and the other co-chairs and the people in the organizing committee. So thank you for this.
Okay, and thank you very much for you to agree to share your wisdom with us. And it was like really exciting to have you here today. So with that, we can end the Q&A session, and to deliver the official vote of thanks and to provide you with some exciting news, I would like to invite Dr. Sanka Vidisinghe, one of our co-chairs of ICIET 2024. Dr. Sanka, you can address the gathering now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Pasan, and good evening to our guest contributors, as well as the participants from our faculty, as well as from the community. So first of all, thank you very much for organizing this sort of a thought-provoking session for young researchers to how to write an abstract. Then I would like to thank, first of all, Dr. Asanka on giving the basics to content of the abstract and what are the mistakes to avoid. Then Professor Dhanushka adding that with some examples, what are the pitfalls, as well as how to select your keywords, etc. He gave it good examples. So I think with that, most of our students and even our members got a good idea, because I believe communication is the key whether in your research. Unless we get our message across to the audience, no one knows that you are doing this research and communicating, and also that will help to get more ideas from peers, similar people doing your own research, and that will further develop your understanding and research avenues. So therefore, I would like to thank our contributors who are actually representing top 2% of the scientists in the world. And we lucky to have you in Sri Lanka as well as in our university. And so therefore, moving to the last part, actually, we wanted to give you some time to prepare your abstract with care, getting these tips and using this information. So therefore, we thought to extend our abstract submission deadline by 2 weeks. So we will be extending it until 15th of September 2024. So therefore, again, don't wait till the last minute. As Professor Dhanushka said, you can start now, start today, and take time to polish your abstract and send for comments from your peers, friends, anyone, especially with your advisors, and then come to the experience the physical conference setup and engage with discussions with similar people doing your own research field, and have that experience. And I'm hopeful that will grow our scientific community in our country, and that will be a good research community. Thank you very much. I think someone raised their hand. Dr. Pasan, can?
No, he already lowered it, I think. Yes.
Okay. Then thank you very much again.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Sanka, for delivering the vote of thanks. And it's exciting. And as you heard, the deadline for abstract submission of the ICIET 24 was just extended until the 15th of September. So now it's your time. Just polish up your abstract and make them ready to be submitted to ICIET 2024. More information will be delivered to you with the communication channels. You can basically tune into our website, the conference website, as well as the Facebook page. And for the participants today who registered through the links that we provided, we will be sending information to your emails as well. So with that, we can basically conclude the session, and there's a small request from the organizers to take a group photograph. So for the members who are here, I would kindly like to invite you to turn on your cameras. So we are going to take a group photo with that to keep as a memory of this excellent event that we just had. Thank you. Okay, I hope we are good. Thank you so much for joining in today. We hope that you will keep in touch with us for more exciting activities. And we'll keep you updated about the progress of the ICIET 2024. And there will be many pre-conference workshops happening across various disciplines, and you can participate in them as well. And if you decide to submit to the ICIET 2024, and if your abstract gets submitted, you will be visiting our faculty soon. So we are excited about that as well. So with that, we are going to conclude the session today. And I hope you have a very nice rest of the day, and we'll keep in touch. This is not an end. This is hopefully beginning of another exciting journey with you all. Thank you very much, and bye.
Thank you, Dr. Pasan.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone.